Pokemon has had plenty of villains over its lifetime, and some were really freaking amazing, and then some were... Anyways, the fact of the matter is, out of all the amazing villains in the series, not all of them are equally as powerful, but there's one villain that trumps every other villain as the most powerful villain in all of Pokemon. And of course I'm talking about Lysander, but how is it that this guy somehow trumps villains like Archie or even Cyrus, who managed to capture the literal gods of space and time? Just what makes this villain so powerful compared to everyone else? Well, my friends, I'm here to explain just that. My name is Pokey, and this is how Lysander became the smartest villain in the history of Pokemon. First, we're going to start off with the overall Pokemon. Each villain has to really show how much cannon fire they actually have under their arsenal. Now, as I mentioned before, Lysander in terms of overall Pokemon doesn't really compare to some of the other villains in the franchise, and when I say this, I only really mean one, that being Cyrus. You see, the reason why Cyrus as a trainer is so powerful was because he had control of not only the Lake Trio, but also the Creation Trio, excluding Giratina, of course. This is some pretty obvious stuff, so I'm not going to go too into it, but we all know how powerful the Creation Trio members are, since, well, they created the entire franchise, so, yeah, it makes sense to say the least. So yeah, Cyrus would be the strongest considering he had control of the strongest beings in the freaking multiverse. Archie and Maxie had Groudon and Kyogre, but they only really formed the entire planet and only are strong because they are both similar in strength to their father Rayquaza. The second strongest trio behind the Lake and Creation Trio, of course, would be the Light Trio, but not because of Solgaleo and Lunala, but Necrozma. I've talked about how strong Necrozma was in the past, but Necrozma was capable of consuming all of Ultra Space, which had an infinite number of parallel universes, making Necrozma one of the only other legendaries that would even remotely be comparable to the Creation Trio, and even then, he isn't as strong by a mile. So what does this all mean exactly? We get it, Cyrus has powerful Pokemon and everyone else is weaker, so how is Lysander somehow the best villain? Well, here's the thing, the strongest trio behind the Lake and Creation Trio technically isn't the Lake Trio, it's the Aura Trio. How, you might ask, as I literally just talked about how OP Necrozma is? The only way a Pokemon could be stronger than Necrozma is if somehow they were able to beat him, which is exactly what Zygarde did. And he was able to do this by going in and out of both his 100% form and his 50% form. The Dex entry for Zygarde even states that it takes 100% of its power to overwhelm both Xerneas and Yveltal. It's so funny to say 150% form because that's literally just Deku. They're both literally the same, Zygarde and Deku, like, it's just so funny to me. Anyways, also off topic, but the ending to My Hero wasn't bad, alright? It was not that bad. All you haters just need to calm down. Making the Aura Trio the third strongest trio in the entire franchise. So already, Lysander has quite literally the number 2 spot when it comes to overall Pokemon strength compared to the rest of the villains in Pokemon. Because let's be honest here, there aren't many villains that come close with their Pokemon compared to the Light Trio and the Aura Trio. Like Ho-Oh and Lugia can make a storm. Ooh, so scary. I'll also be making a future video on the power ranking between all the different trios in Pokemon, so if you're interested, make sure to subscribe. Now, Pokey, we get it. Lysander has some pretty strong Pokemon, but his Pokemon aren't even Creation Trio level. Why are you saying he's the most powerful villain? And I agree with you on that front. I really do. Lysander does not come close to the Creation Trio. Except that's not all of what makes a villain so powerful. After all, what is a villain if they have so much power but aren't capable of using it? You see, this video is not just about how strong the Pokemon villains are, but how much of a deadly effect these villains have on the world, how much they are willing to go and how much they have accomplished. And here's the thing, Cyrus very well is strong, and I mean, of course he is, after all he has the Creation Trio, but the thing is, he had little to no effect on the universe. He could have stopped time, created his universe, but he didn't. He was stopped by Lucas and Don before he was able to accomplish his grand plan, and let's be honest, he was incredibly stupid. He could have easily created his own universe if he didn't do one simple mistake. One simple mistake that happens in every single timeline. That being releasing the Lake Trio. Every single time once he created the Red Chain, he just let Don and Lucas take away the Lake Trio. This part always makes me so freaking mad because we know how powerful the Lake Trio are. They're capable of suppressing the powers of Dialga and Palkia, and you think just because you use them to make the Red Chain, they're powerless forever? Oh, you're so freaking stupid. Holy frick. It's his downfall in every single timeline, his own stupidity, but not Lysander. Not Lysander. You see, unlike Cyrus the Clown over here, Lysander is unironically the smartest villain the franchise has ever seen. For starters, his grand plan was to restart the world and build it from the ground up and kill all living humans because of their corrupt nature, but unlike Cyrus, he knew he couldn't do it alone. First, he found a lonely boy named Alon who desperately wanted to get stronger in order to protect and help his friend Marin, and he then used this to manipulate his skills as a trainer to absorb mega energy from other trainers in order to power his new and improved ultimate weapon. But Alon wasn't the only key part of this puzzle. He manipulated Malva and also managed to capture Z2 because of his puppet Alon and Team Flare. You heard that? He managed to successfully capture one of the strongest legendaries in the universe. Not only that, but he used his inventions like the Holocaster to hide his true nature and use his business as a way to hide what Team Flare was actually doing, unlike Giovanni, who really just did crime to get his wealth, which is going to catch up to you at some point, and it did. And it doesn't end there. By creating the ultimate weapon, he single-handedly corrupted Squishy and turned him into a being of mass destruction. And unlike Clown Cyrus, he actually successfully managed to use Z2 to make a literal replica of 50% Zygarde. He now had an entity equal to a full-blown Zygarde that was actually well in his control. And unlike Cyrus, he single-handedly took down Lumio City, which is the largest city in all of Pokemon. Not only that, but it's safe to say he had the entire Kalos region under his feet because it took every single trainer in Kalos, including champions from other regions and Ash himself, for Lysander to even come close to losing. You know how crazy you have to be to have the entire freaking region, including other regions' most powerful trainers, unite in order to stop you? Like, bro, that's some Power Rangers bullcrap. And it also took 100% Zygarde to freaking beat him, which is also kind of wild. But you could also make the argument that Zygarde wasn't really trying here because he could just be going into 100% to just not take the risk of anyone dying. And not only that, but the only reason he lost wasn't because of the trainers themselves, nah. But in actuality, it wasn't even Zygarde himself that was the main factor in Lysander's loss, but fate itself. I'm not joking. If Ash and Alon never met, Alon wouldn't have had a problem taking Ash out. If Clembot wasn't created or even at the gym at that exact moment, then the ultimate weapon wouldn't have been destroyed. And last but not least, if Bonnie hadn't found Squishy, then he would have gone captured 2 alongside Z2. And then literally nobody would have been able to stop Lysander from legit taking over the entire planet. Because as we know, the creation trio don't get involved. If they did, then villains wouldn't even exist. There are literal timelines that are in disarray that prove this. So everything had to line up for Lysander to lose, and honestly good, because if it didn't, bro, Ash and everyone else would have been freaking cooked. But guys, who is your favorite villain in all of Pokemon? For me, it's easily Volo because that plot twist was freaking peak, but I'd love to see yours as I do respond to a lot of my comments. But that's all Yuki wrote, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.